The universe of Voidgrave is vast, cold, grim-dark, and bloody, manipulated by the malicious hands of evil celestial gods known as the Outer Ones. This universe gets its name through the celestial event known as the Voidgrave, where the Outer Ones are satisfied with the outcome of the current universe, and as a result, reset it in order to start again, further entertaining their consumers. You've witnessed the secret vague messages, the unveilings of a dark nature that surround this universe, the plans of a man desperate to counter the schemes of the evil gods, and just how deadly and chaotic the material realm of this existence can get. And that is why I thought this universe was the perfect candidate for yours truly to host a D&D campaign that would further explore what Voidgrave is all about, featuring unique characters of different forms, backstories, and goals, united as one in order to make an impact in such a dark and cruel world. There are many more things to announce in regards to this universe that I have planned, but the main priorities as of right now is to further expand upon this series, flesh it out more, and provide you all with easy content through live streams that showcase the D&D campaign so far. The D&D campaign in question has gone for 8 main sessions, with 9 sessions in total as 2 of them were filler episodes. Well, realistically 1 of them, as 1 of them ended up having more meaning. Now, what is Voidgrave? And what is this D&D campaign all about? Voidgrave is a grimdark universe themed around misanthropy, nihilism, war, and tragedy. In the setting, everything is overpowered to the point of absurdity, and all living life across the universe lives in constant war against each other. Humanity, although incredibly vast and has expanded to several different galaxies, as well as accomplishing the pinnacle of technology, has also become divided and extremely zealous with their separate beliefs. Several different alien species and robotic factions fall under this same conflict and are also constantly invaded by entities like angels, demons, as well as the Outer Ones themselves and their many creations. Despite this raging and horrifying conflict that was seemingly man-made, what nearly none of them realize is that this was entirely orchestrated by the Outer Ones, solely for the purposes of entertaining the ones above them that they call the Greater Ones. Due to this, the main theme that becomes established over time in this series is that the Outer Ones are the main big bad, as they are the ones that manipulate the universe on a whim and cause everything tragic and destructive to happen. The Outer Ones like to play the universe out while they devise their grand plans, and when they are satisfied with the story and feel as though enough carnage has occurred, they reset the universe via a celestial event known as the Voidgrave, which only occurs when the vast emptiness of the whole universe is completely littered with the debris of hundreds of millions of fleets, the corpses of fighters, heroes, and soldiers, and countless planets are destroyed on a whim over something as petty as a minor disagreement. After the Voidgrave commences, the universe is reduced into nothing, and then it is restarted by the Outer Ones, aiming to have everything happen over and over again, putting through the universe in a cycle of torment. This will most definitely sound like the most horrifying and tragic universe you could ever live in, but that is where the main premise of this series comes in. Certain characters may become self-aware that the universe is being put through this cycle, as they will get the sensation that these events have happened before. After this revelation, they do everything they can in their power to fight against the Outer Ones' schemes, whether it be drastically changing how events play out for their own gain, or by maintaining a level of consistency as to what exactly should happen, just as in the previous loop. Some may even go as far as to fight the Outer Ones themselves, but to no avail, as their power is unfathomable and vastly overpowers them. Whether or not these entities become capable of actually putting up a fair fight against the Outer Ones, they are, for the most part, the main focus of Voidgrave as a series, used as a beacon of hope in the grand scheme of the cosmos and the nefarious plans of the Outer Ones. Of course, Voidgrave wouldn't be as intriguing as a concept without its in-depth world building, as there are countless factions, civilizations, characters, and worlds in the Voidgrave universe that are of significant importance, whether it be from natural means as the universe was created, or if they were created by the Outer Ones themselves. The main fighting force of all humanity, known as the Rebels of Atlas, had achieved the absolute pinnacle of technology, so much so that they had completely converted the Earth into a giant spacecraft that is much larger than that of a solar system that is slowly traversing its galaxy and beyond. Humanity in Voidgrave had conquered its galaxy entirely, and countless more, their populations increasing to unknown decillions and establishing themselves as one of the most prominent fighting forces in the universe. This isn't without their major faults, however, as they are not really the good guys either. The rebels of Atlas are prone to cover up things that would be considered heinous to the normal fighter, and they keep many secrets from their own fighting forces to maintain a sense of order. The rebels of Atlas are just one of many factions that have their own in-depth lore and storytelling, something that will be further expanded upon with the D&D campaign that I am hosting and planning on streaming on a semi-frequent basis. Our story begins in Obituary, otherwise known as the Planet of the Dead. Not all characters were found on this planet, but the first 4 characters are, and they have quite the stories to tell. Sergei as a character is inherently mysterious, as he was most prominent in a war from several thousands of years ago back when Earth was still Earth. Formerly a double agent that was susceptible to the influence of a malicious alien species that mainly affected the armies contained within the state of Russia, Sergei had developed a hatred for the aliens that controlled him and his people to the point of sabotaging their plans and assassinating high-ranking officials. After the war ended, Sergei was presumed dead by his fellow comrades, being sent out into space within cryostasis as a sort of funeral for his passing. In an unfortunate circumstance, however, after Sergei was idly floating in space for several thousands of years, his pod landed in Obituary and shattered open, eventually awakening him within the embrace of the undead. Now, after Sergei's awakening, his goals are yet to be rediscovered, as his main priority is to survive in an unfamiliar universe, making new friends along the way. Harry Kamen was a mercenary for the Rebels of Atlas, used as a means of getting important missions done that would establish more power for their forces. Harry had worked for the rebels for several years to the point that he went into a state of retirement to spend more time with his family, but during this time he had found his son in a state of total sickness, which occurred after a few years, and Harry was unable to pay for any medical assistance for his child. In a desperate attempt to save his kid from sickness, Harry resorted to doing petty crimes against the rebels, such as stealing supplies of some of their most valuable resources. In his hubris, however, Harry was caught in the act, and he was going to suffer a terrible fate within Kingdom. He was going to be reduced into nothing but a mere slave within an underground prison known as the Slums. Harry would be taken to court over treason, and after Harry had explained his reasoning as to why he did what he did, the rebels within the court revealed his son in his current state, becoming overly mutated and ravenous. Harry's son was no longer there, but replaced by a ferocious monster. In another devastating blow, Harry had to witness the rebels murder his son in the courtroom before he would be sent to the slums, but Harry wanted to make amends for his actions and save himself from certain pain and death. As a result, he was reinstituted as a soldier, being forced to do several tasks for the rebels in order to pay off his debts. It was during these tasks that Harry was cast aside into Obituary, meant to be trapped forever for his wrongdoings. Harry Kamen, in his current state, has since revoked his own status with the Rebels of Atlas after realizing that it was no longer worth fighting for their cause, distancing himself from the faction and fighting for the sake of the people in his party instead. Now, as for Harry's current state, ever since the party departed from Obituary, the influence of the Planet of the Dead has grown in Harry's mind, as he had recently began to suffer from hallucinations regarding an undead lord who calls himself Rakash. Harry is not certain as to what it may pertain to, but he can't help but wonder, what are the undead planning with him, and why is he so important to them? The Alabaster Empire, owned and controlled by the enigmatic Alexander Hargris, has a wide array of experiments and programs utilized to spread their influence and profits. One of them being the series of androids that share the same simple name of Jerry. Jerry is utilized as a salesman and representative within a specific section of the Alabaster Empire known as the Void Corporation, a branch entirely dedicated to spacefaring, trading, and safeguarding its own people, with their new main goal of safeguarding everything in existence through the usage of vaults. At first, Jerry was completely oblivious to the fact that he was an android, as he was put under the guise of suffering the effects of narcolepsy due to the fact that he was at first being piloted by an unknown person. Even if someone had pointed out to him that he was an android, he would deny this. That is, until an encounter he had with a savage alien species that put him through a near-death experience where he had made the discovery that he was, in fact, not entirely human, putting him through a state of existential crisis for a long period of time. Despite this state of mental fatigue, however, Jerry was able to use his android capabilities to further assist his friends along the way, becoming one of the most powerful and useful entities in the party. Jerry is also accompanied by an AI known as Sleeper. Although they are not on the same page entirely, Sleeper has so far proven as a valuable asset, despite his allegiance with the Alabaster Empire that Jerry has since strayed away from ever since his revelation of being an android. His mental fatigue only got worse, however, as he was struck with yet another tragedy. He was captured by one of the most evil factions in the universe, known as Black Crown, and he had to witness his own biological father, who had somehow miraculously survived after thousands of years, murdered within the infinite dimension known as the Catacombs. Combining his father's murder with the revelation that he was only designed after a long before deceased human, Jerry can't help but wonder to himself if the entire world is against him, and if he should fight back in full force. Another mysterious character within this party is the Dragonkin with no name. Being a Void Dragonkin specifically with the ability to conjure and fire dark matter, as well as the ability to teleport, No Name formerly originated from a clan of Void Dragonkin warriors that were used as assets of war, entirely dedicated to protecting their conclaves from other alien species, as well as other Dragonkin due to the fact that they are not highly regarded. No Name became disillusioned with the idea of serving any kind of master or allegiance, as he grew towards the mindset of fighting for his own goals. This was deemed as treachery by his Dragonkin brethren, and as a result, he was branded as a traitor, being forced to wear a magically burning ring that was formed from the detached blade of a sword, wrapped around his tail for as long as he exists before he was cast away into obituary. After being met up with the party of other outcasts, No Name has had some development, one of which is the removal of his branding thanks to the assistance of a raven witch known as Janelle. But despite this and many obstacles that he has been through, No Name has only ever grown determined for his one goal: discover himself. Isham is initially framed as the holy savior of the party, as he was sent to Obituary to protect and safeguard Sergei Romanov for reasons he doesn't know himself. Despite this amnesiac state, Isham is entirely dedicated to protecting Sergei and spreading his glory to all that he can, albeit with a massive ego. Being an angel in the Voidgrave universe, Isham sees himself as the perfect being, as well as the perfect guy to do the job for the party, prioritizing his protection towards Sergei. Throughout the campaign, Isham had grown progressively closer towards Jerry as a close friend, as well as a highly charismatic individual and valuable asset to others around him. This persona of his wouldn't last, however, as he was met with a twist after encountering some of his fellow angel brethren. Isham is met with a dark realization that the angels see him as nothing more than a joke, and that he was only sent out for this mission just so he could be cast out of heaven, with the other angels having their own agenda in regards to Sergei, for once again, reasons unknown. As a result of this, as well as a little bit of seductive influence from a demon, Isham has been slowly losing his holiness, with bits of his halo breaking into floating pieces, his wings growing darker, and his demeanor changing ever so slowly. Without the proper guidance, Isham may find himself treading a dark path as a fallen angel. Ikzikatri, otherwise known as Iggy, is more so a minor character for this campaign, as he was set off on his own adventure almost as quickly as he was introduced. Iggy is a Deathroot Dryad, or a Burning Dryad, under the guidance of an evil Alstonian lord in order to safeguard a powerful artifact that the party would later discover. Initially, Iggy was seen as a threat due to his allegiance with the Alstonian lord, but after the party had initially interrogated him, they reasoned with him and convinced him to help the party out, which ended up benefiting not only him, but the party as well. After another adventure, Iggy was given a new life as a botanist for the Void Corporation, working at an enigmatic space station to provide agriculture to worlds that needed it, becoming eternally thankful of the party that provided him with this new life. Kara was introduced a bit later on in the campaign as a new fighter with no definitive alignment. Kara is a succubus, which had initially led to suspicions and concerns within the party when she had revealed herself, especially with characters like Isham and Sergei. Kara, however, had ultimately become a great ally and friend towards the group, being established as a rogue demon who had completely severed her connection with her demonic realm, as well as the King of Lust, Asmodeus. Kara throughout the campaign had been entertaining and helpful towards the party, but not without the caveat of her being a succubus, as in an unexpected turn of events, she had developed a very close relationship with Isham despite their polar differences, eventually becoming romantic partners. Although the two of them had participated in rather provocative activities, with her being a succubus and all, they share a close bond as one and are willing to protect each other. Janelle is another character that was introduced later on in the campaign, a raven witch that worked within an enigmatic space station where all factions and entities had treated this place as neutral ground. A supermall in space, if you will. Janelle's work line was simple. She was a fortune teller and soothsayer, granting her customers the ability to see within their futures or find memories of their past. Eventually, however, Janelle had decided to become another main member of the party, assisting them with her powerful void magics, similar to that of No Name's abilities. Despite her allegiance with the infamous Raven Cabal, Janelle developed a friendship with the party very quickly, fighting for them tooth and nail while also being used as a sort of librarian for if anything goes wrong. Not much is known about the RIP machines that are utilized by the Void Corporation aside from the fact that they originated from the conclusion of a nuclear war that happened within the Alabaster Empire. On a research planet known as Ameka, intensive research on AI was being conducted, but this led to an AI uprising where they had declared war on the Alabaster Empire, led by a massive supercomputer known as the RSD. The war was cataclysmic, but it ultimately ended off with a peace treaty after a few decades, negotiating citizenship for their newly developed sentient machines known as RIPs, which quite literally stands for Rogue Intelligence Personalities. The RIP in this campaign in particular is not widely known about, as they had initially established themselves as some sort of space pirate, but ever since their introduction, they had been massively piloted by the AI influence of Sleeper. All of these characters so far have gone through quite the journey, as a total of 9 sessions have passed through, with the rest of them going to be done in the future on live streams. I will put a link in the description so that you can all read the summaries of all the past sessions, just so you all are caught up with the campaign. This was something being done for a little while, but the main purpose of this campaign was to expand upon the Voidgrave universe and give my friends an idea as to what the story is like. Now, as for the live streams themselves, they will happen only on Saturdays, starting either at 9 AM AKST or 10 AM AKST, which also depends on the availability of all the players involved. In terms of more Voidgrave content, however, a 4th video is in the works, and I may also potentially work on making more videos like this where I go into detail about certain things in Voidgrave, such as factions, alien species, major events, characters, and many more. So, if you would like to be there to witness the campaign unfold, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. I will see you on Saturday.